Lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, please. Everybody. Mr. Federina, come on up. A veteran needs to lead this, not me. Start, Marlon. You didn't forget the words, did you? To the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Absolutely, including the unborn. And for those of you who may or may not be, if you are an elected official, we have Neil Frisky, who's one. Would you stand up, please? We want to acknowledge our Nikki Schneider from our State Board of Education. Tom Antor, County Commissioner. There is no greater state representative in Lansing right now than the man in the 107th, period. Okay, with that said, too, just this is not on the agenda, but I do want to acknowledge it. One of our panel members, James Gimmel, is here. James and I go back a long way. He was a journalist when journalists were real journalists. And kind of a funny story is when I used to have a lot more success fighting tax increases, everyone wondered, who is this 14-year-old kid fighting for millages? He doesn't even pay taxes. But that's how far I go back, and it's great to have him here. He reemerged, and he's with Wood Radio, and just whenever you got a call from him, that's when you sweated the media calling you, because he asked the hard questions. And that's what today is all about with our great chairwoman, Christina. It's about asking the tough questions. I mean, I know I voted for some people that I didn't care for, but you know what? This is what it's about. It's asking the tough questions. But before we get to that, it's about Stand Up Michigan and community. We do not endorse. We are a group of grassroots organizers. We do endorse as individuals, but we are a group that organize, and we are here in our community to make things better in Kent County. So with that said, in the back there is a table with this lady to my right, who would be to your left, Blue Sky Riley. She is a up-and-coming artist, and thank you to James, who I did an interview with Wood Radio with Justin Barkley, and he put it on there in regards. She is going to sing 2 songs for us today. One of them is our national anthem, of course, which we love. But another one, people who are my age and older, we remember when we used to laugh at the declining middle class. And we used to think, no, the middle class, one of her songs is about the middle class. And it really hits home. And when I heard the song online, I immediately made contact, and of course, right away, it's Mom and Dad. Who is this guy? Well, anyway, lo and behold, here she is. She's not only awesome, but she also goes to a Catholic school like where I went. You saw the end results on that, too. But anyway, her music is amazing, and she's going to sing the national anthem, and then are you going to go right into the second song? Okay, great. Are you ready? All right. With that said, Blue Sky Riley. Everyone stand, please, hands on your heart. Render the salute.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and the less gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights on the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran the lands of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you. All right, so this song is one of my originals.
Hang on a second. Myron. With the exception of Curtis Michael Clark, please do not record live stream.
So this next song is one of my originals, and I wrote this for my grandparents, and I know this can relate to most of you guys in the room. But this is called America's Middle Class, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you. They grew up poor, they fought to won wars, they didn't get on past America's middle class. A handshake meant your word was true, the colors they loved were red, white, and blue. They did not dodge the draft, America's middle class. Thank you.
How awesome is that? Blue Star, I want you to stand right here, and if everyone will stand up for a minute, we're going to do a picture with all the crowd behind you. Keep your guitar. All right, come on, stand right over here. There we go. Come on, everyone, make some noise here. Come on. She has a table back there. Also, we have several tables back there. Steve Redmond, where's Steve at? Steve should be in. Steve Redmond. Steve, stand up, will you? Steve is a Ottawa County Patriots, and he's also a graduate of Grand Rapids Catholic Central High School. He has a lot of great events in Ottawa County, my friends. Sadly, they run about simultaneously as sometimes of ours, but they're really, really good. It's at Lighthouse Baptist, many of these events, and it's really, really awesome. So, welcome. We're glad everybody is here. If this is your first time here, can I see a show of hands? Well, welcome. Stand up, everyone who's been here first time. Stand up. Missy, you can stand up. Missy is the lady responsible for Trucker Randy and myself losing a few pounds here and there. But with that said, you are not a stranger here, not for 1 second. We are all grassroots activists. We're all going to have some disagreements, but you know what? We're all family. So, and that's how it works. The goal, our end goals should always be the same. So, with that said, if you are Stand Up Michigan Board of Directors, please stand up. That would be Lance Griffin, Dell, Dennis, and David. Stand, please. Okay. Dell is doing parking. I mean, this is the way it works. There's David just walked in, but this is awesome. To plan this, a lot goes in here. I mean, this church is pretty much full, but a lot goes involved, and they have been great. They have been anything and everything that we needed help with. They've just been awesome. These things don't happen by accident, so thank you. And they're a great board. It's amazing to work with them. And with that said, we're on to the next one. This is an official meeting, so next we're going to do the treasurer's report, which has been received and filed. Okay, we're going to pass that basket. I'm going to ask you to kind of dig a little deep for donations. This is going to pay for the after party as well as several other, some of our guests traveled a ways to be here. We'd like to help them with gas. And, I mean, we have food, which is coming afterwards, snacks and punch. And we have actual pies and apple cider from Frisky's Market, believe it or not. And they're not on the taxpayer dime. So that came. So with that said, my friends, I threw this in here. Please pray for Ryan Kelly. You may see something on the internet that says, he doesn't want any visitors or any letters or anything. Just pray for Ryan Kelly, please, and pray for many of the other people in his situations. We are a group that need prayer. Yeah, I need your prayers more than anyone. As I always say, I'm glad I'm not the person I was 10 years ago, but I certainly am not the man I need to be right now. And with that said, some of the people in the hallway, Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action, that's Riley Linting, everyone's youth favorite. So the Cookie Kid, all of you need to buy a cookie. She is 10 years old. With her profits, she just bought a printer, so she's really, really awesome, and I gave her $50, so while it lasts, we can be socialist and cookies will be free. But please, buy a cookie or two. I mean, this is awesome. She was really excited about being in here, and hopefully I'll get her up on stage before it's all said and done. Also, for our chair, Christina, can you come up here a minute, Christina? Well, for those who think Christina only has haters, you got a fan in here who's dying to meet you. So, where's Lexi? Lexi wanted to meet you. Where's Lexi? Here, Lexi, come on up. So here you go. You get to meet Christina Caramo. I'm still bitter she handed me my booty at the convention. But anyway, here you go. Hey, Tom, will you take a picture of these two? There you see what happens when you have connections? That's going to cost you 50 doors to knock on, young lady. Okay, speeding things up. Visit the outside tables, and also too is if you volunteered here today, thank you. I can't single you out because I'll miss. At 5 o'clock, I probably had 30 people in this building, asking me, what should I do, this or do that? And it's like, all I do is watch everybody work, and I take all the credit. And just so you know, if you're a candidate for the debate, you are getting a Constitution courtesy of the office of Neil Friskies, and you're going to learn our Constitution. Joe Moss from Ottawa Impact, he is our Patriot of the Year. He could not be here today. So we will, hopefully next month, we will have him. However, we are coming to a point, we are going to award tonight our Man and Woman of the Year. The criteria for the Man and Woman of the Year, I hand this out, and it's somebody people who just go the extra mile. You don't ask them to go the extra mile. They're just always there. It's kind of like we've all worked with someone who's a rock star, and we work them to death because we know we can count on them. And I mean, this is the person that just is always there, and they do so without any form of reward. They do it because it's just what they do. Okay, we'll start with the Man of the Year. I'll give the name last. And mind you, neither one of these people know that they're getting this award. Man of the Year to wear is on this Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. You are hereby officially named Stand Up Michigan Kent County Chapter Man of the Year for your very strong pro-American stand in defense of the United States of America's constitutional republic. Our male Man of the Year is our Vice President, Lance Griffin. And Lance juggles double duties with so many other organizations, and people really don't know, but Lance is also a chef. He's not as good as me, but he's pretty good. So, our Woman of the Year, and if I shed a tear while I'm talking, it's because this person absolutely, positively is amazing. This person just helps everyone all the time. And I love the fact that she has an opinion all the time, too. Stay on her good side. But I called this person one time with a situation where I thought, I'm going to have to call several people. Somebody will help us out. I only had to make one phone call. And that says everything about this person. We're on this day, Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. Whereas Kent County officially named Stand Up Michigan Kent County's Chapter Woman of the Year for her absolute dedication and her very strong pro-American stance in defense of the United States of America. This goes to Gail Schuling. Congratulations, Gail. Well, hang on. Lance, why don't you come up and we'll get a photo with the crowd behind you guys. Hold up your award. So. Oh. Well, let's move it quickly. We got to get to the debate.
My two favorite guys.
Oh. Wait a minute. Two of your favorite guys. Yes. We don't want to leave out RJ. He catches rumors on that. But anyway, and Gail is just basically, she's done all kinds of things. She has fundraisers. She was a big supporter of the takeover in Kent County. Thank you so much. I mean, she was just, and she's a rock. She has been around as long as I have, and that means you have experience and you have knowledge. And she has been fighting with me. So it's for a very, very long time, and thank you. And we'll hopefully next month, hopefully next month we'll have Joe here. With that said, we need you here for some action committees Starting next year, 2024, we want to vet candidates. We have several committees. Talk to somebody in leadership here. Where can you best serve? How can you help your community? What can we do in the good neighbor to help just be better parts of our community? We need you. I often say for people who it's your first time, are you here to really make change or are you here for the tacos? Well, there's going to be some people coming up here in 15 minutes that are running. They're putting themselves out there. They're going to be targets. James Baker, I was at an event one time where he said, somebody asked him, did you like being the chief of staff for George Bush? He said, no, absolutely not. He said, I hated it. He said, every morning they light spears on fire and they throw them at me. He said, my job is to dodge it. And these candidates are putting themselves out there. We need grassroots. We need people on the ground. We need you. So that's very, very important. And Stand Up is about grassroots. It's about defending Kent County. It's about taking aspects of our county back to we the people. Our next chapter meeting will be Tuesday, January 9th. It always tends to kind of be a lull because it's very dark, but please, bring a friend. If you're here and you can make it, please come and bring a friend. We need to grow. Also, as I wind down the meeting here, a show of hands, how many people in this room have heard of the USS Indianapolis? A lot of hands are not here. Before I get on the Indianapolis, this guy walking down, the voice of the North, trucker Randy Bishop, he is on your Defending Fathers. Randy, how many pounds have you lost since you started? 87. 87 pounds. So that's amazing. Well, it ain't free, you know that. But anyway, he lost his job as Santa, but he looks terrific. The USS Indianapolis carried the bomb to the islands in order to load onto the to the bombers that dropped the bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But it hit a torpedo. And for days, the survivors were left to sharks and exposure. And it's almost it's like a forgotten memory. Even as I asked a show of hands, not a lot of people. We are going to have an event, one of our stand-ups, where we're going to have the people here that want to have a local monument in regard to honor the people from the USS Indianapolis. And if you go online and read about it, you probably will not get 2 paragraphs before you get very shook up. We all love our veterans, but these people should not be forgotten. They delivered the bomb. They prevented many, many more deaths. And many of them, picture yourself in the Pacific being 18, 20 years old and being attacked by a shark after you had to go overboard. As they said, war is hell, but we're going to remember the USS Indianapolis. And a big thank you. Can someone run back and grab Riley Linting and the cookie kid, Alexa? I just want to introduce them real quick before I wind up. And I also want to mention a couple things. Each candidate has gotten, oh, Riley, you are here. Sorry, Riley, I'm so sorry. Yes. Come on up, Alexa. My friends, everyone needs to buy a cookie. She didn't come here to go bankrupt. She came here to make a profit. And this is Alexa. And Alexa, what are your most popular cookies?
Chocolate chip.
Okay. So, Alexa, you're going to hang out about a half hour longer, right?
I don't know.
All right. Well, as long as you're making money, you're going to stick around? Yes. Well, you can't. You're going to tell customers, sorry, we're closed. We don't want your money. So give her money. Get some cookies at the once we adjourn the meeting. Next up is Riley with Turning Point Action, correct? That's Alexa, everyone, our 10-year-old entrepreneur. She's with Turning Point Action. Anything exciting going on at the moment?
Not really. If I knew you were hosting this, I would have prepared a little snippet. I should have known. You put me on the spot. I didn't know you. I'm joking. It's okay. Yeah, I'm here with Turning Point Action. We have a table set up. We're recruiting precinct delegates, registering voters. I'm assuming everyone here is registered to vote, I would hope. But if you just moved or something, I can help you. register to vote or become a precinct delegate if you're not already one. But that's it. I'm excited to hear all of our candidates speak. And yeah, so thanks, Mike. You're killing it. So your precinct is like the smallest unit. So your precinct is where you go to vote. And so you're basically the leader of your precinct. It's the smallest level of elected official that you can be. So I would send you an affidavit of identity to be put on the ballot for the people in your precinct to vote on. There's 2 conventions a year where you get to vote on things like state party leadership, party platform, Republican Party endorsements, and also then outside of those 2 conventions a year, you just are, you make sure that you're involved with your county party and staying active within the party in whatever way that they kind of suggest. A lot of the times that's door knocking, making phone calls, but it's a great way to get involved. I know there's a lot of college students here, so if you're about to graduate and you're part of a college Republicans group, it's a great way to stay involved post-grad. So. Thanks, Lance.
Del, I just hit the timer. So I guess for the meeting, we're going to have to depend on the video since I just, sorry, I forgot to hit the, I forgot to hit this on the, can someone grab Blue Star real quick too, please? I want to give her something for making the road trip. She came about 3.5 hours to come here, everybody. Yes. Just a quick review. All of the candidates have gotten lists of the ground rules. All the questions are rapid fire. The first round of series of questions will come from our panelists. Chris Becker, who is always my moderator, will be moderating. This is going on our 10th year or 11th. I don't remember. But how this all played out is I asked him to moderate, and he had said no. Then a bunch of people asked for his endorsement, and he said, well, I can't endorse. I'm moderating Mike's debate. Since then, that's where we've been at. So, there will be the questions are we're not going to do any personal attacks, but the questions are going to be hard. If you're in the audience, the second half of our questions will come from you. Ask hard questions. We don't want a personal attack, but you know, how many times do we elect someone and we complain? We do nothing but complain. But did we vet these candidates? Wait a minute. One more other thing I can. How could I even begin to forget? One of our worst legislatures in the state of Michigan, who has voted yes on every single tax increase, who is probably one of the worst elected officials in the history of Michigan. We are going to remove him, and you know who we're going to remove him with? She's here right now, Cindy Amante. Cindy, come on up. Cindy is with Proposito. We recently went to her Christmas party, and she's going to give you a 1 or 2 minute item. You've got to, Vega, go on, get out. Jeff is like the dad who's always stalking her. But Jeff Vega over here and Cindy, they've got this great group, and it's really grassroots, and it's actively getting Hispanics active. And we recently went to her Christmas party. It is awesome, where Cindy has announced that she is a candidate. And just an FYI, I did message our opponent, a Democrat, and I invited him to come say hello to all these good people, but he didn't write me back. So with that said, Cindy?
Hi, everyone. Cindy Amante. So I'm the state director for Proposito. We are a Hispanic outreach group. The Hispanic population is growing rapidly. So we want to get them engaged. You know, how do we do that? So we reach out, teach them about the Constitution, you know, teach them leadership skills. If they want to be a candidate, we teach them what it takes to be a candidate. One of the other things that we did is we filmed a commercial, and it's going to run in Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids has a very large Hispanic community, about 30%. That can flip a House seat. Amen. So we're going to make sure to target that. So if anybody wants to donate to help fund that commercial, it's going to be going on during the Rose Bowl. Please get a hold of me, or you can go online to propositomi.org. How do you spell that? Oh, propositomi.org. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All righty. Well, anyway, so what we're going to do now, we're not going to wait for Blue Sky. We got a schedule we got to keep. We are going to ask the candidates to please go into the back. Do not leave, please, or if you got to run to the bathroom or something, fine. But we're going to start very, very shortly. What we're going to do is we're going to give a 2-minute talk on exactly what's taking place next. They're going to come up here. Please be respectful of the candidates. And like I said, ask them the hard questions. This is no time, right now, this is not a time to be shy. Ask the hard questions. Just so everybody knows, it probably was less than 24 hours ago, Peter Meyer canceled. And for whatever reason, they didn't call me, they called Lance. It wasn't even him, it was Scott Greenlee who called on his behalf. But anyway, just an FYI. And that we went to his event and he committed. But anyway, with that said, we'll be back in, say, no more than 3 to 4 minutes. And please, while this is going on, please, no sidebars or loud conversations. Let's respect the answers. They're all rapid fire. And let's respect the panel. Once the panel is done, if you need a 3x5 card or whichever, and thank you to Dell, I forgot the 3x5 card, so he ran out and ended up going to Myers to get them before we started the meeting. Thank you. Write your question down. What's going to happen is it's going to Lance and some of our other board members. We're going to make sure that the moderator does not get repeat questions. So with that said, during the debate, please give them your undivided attention. With the exception of Curtis Michael Clark, there is no live streaming, please. Absolutely, positively not. But anyway, with that said, if the candidates and whoever is going to hold their sign will go into the back, we will see you shortly. And I mean very shortly. Yes. Does anyone need a program? Okay, great. And we'll call you up in the order of the program. So we will be right back. And it's okay to cheer too, even though we're doing rapid fire. Let's have fun. It is the holidays.
Looks like a hefty one here. And the flower. Sounds like a plan.
All righty. We got some mics too. We're going to be one more minute while they organize back there. I also don't want to forget, we do have a candidate running for RNC, so I'm going to give her 60 seconds to come up, introduce herself. I don't think she needs introduction, but you know what? She's Miss Awesome. So when she called me and told me she was running, I was doing somersaults. With that said, probably the best ethnic vice chair. Another one of those seats I lost to, but okay. Gee, thanks, Randy. Oh, I love Karamo. Well, doesn't anyone like Farage either? But anyway, with that said, Bernadette, come on up. Tell us a little bit about this.
You know,
I need to borrow someone's program, please.
well,
I
thank
gave
you
mine
so
away.
much. It's a blessing to be here, and it's an honor to have been your ethnic vice chair for going on for 3 years, right, Chris, when I came into office. I also been working with the Republican Party since 2008. And I'm so excited. We've been in the fight ever since. I was talking to Audra earlier today how when COVID hit, we were on the front lines in Lansing. We were all over standing our ground against the tyrannical government. But, you know, we have to. But I want to say this, you guys. The reason why I am running for RNC committee woman is because I want to represent Michigan on a national level. I want to make sure that our Constitution stays intact. I want to make sure that our religious liberties stay intact. If you see what's happening, they're trying to destroy America. They're trying to bring down and put other gods. The reason why America was blessed is because we serve an almighty God. That's why we were blessed. And if we take him out of our platform, America is doomed. So I'm going there. Not only that, I'm here also, I will begin to raise money. And I'm going to raise money, but I want to go, for the last 2.5 years, I have been going to all the counties, and I'm not quite there because they have 83 counties in the state of Michigan, bringing the message of unity, bringing the message of truth, eradicating this critical race theory garbage, eradicating all the mess that Satan is trying to bring into our party, in our state, and in our world. So it's vital that we stand strong. And I want to say this too. I'm not afraid of attacks. But I want to say this, all the garbage that you may hear against me, I want to say this. I pray for those who's talking, but I challenge them. I said, come talk to me. I'll tell you the backstory of that. Let me tell you something. You think what they're doing to Donald Trump is something new? They did this to me back in 2008 and 10. Here I am with 8 children, a daughter, our youngest daughter, in intensive care, dying. You hear me? Dying. We've lost everything in the housing market, everything. And I went to get food for our kids at the state level, only food, and my daughter's bill was $300,000 in the hospital. After I got food for our kids, the government came after me because I'm a conservative Republican outspoken. So you hear what I'm saying? So this is nothing new, what you see that they're doing to Donald Trump. They did it to me, but the only thing about it, I'm like Donald Trump. I'm bold and unafraid, and they will never stop me. Never stop me. I will continue to bring the message of truth to this nation. And it's vital that we bring somebody on the national level that's going to speak the truth and eradicate the darkness that's on this earth. Send me as your national committee woman.
Yeah, in order of the order of. All right. Well, with that said, wow, Bernadette. Man, I'm starting to get jealous of these people. I'm taking a back seat to everyone. With that said, I want to introduce our moderator today, and that is Chris Becker. David, can we grab Chris Becker? Chris Becker probably doing about my 8th debate. So, Chris, I promise you I won't come and grab the microphone this debate. But anyway, and I will introduce our panel, reintroduce our panel from Wood TV, and I always know you as, I think it was WJW. 1340 a.m. back in the day, but now with Wood Radio. James Gimmel. James, stand up, please. And, of course, do I need to even introduce this individual? Your MyGOP chairwoman, Christina Karamo. And just so you know, I've told them both, ask hard questions. As I'll repeat, we're not attacking anybody, but we need to ask hard questions. With that said, go ahead, let's open. Tom, will you leave those doors open because we're going to introduce the candidates? And I hope I get the cities right. From Williamston, which of course lost to Catholic Central lost to, Michael Hoover, and Mike's originally, I believe, from Midland. Michael Hoover, candidate for U.S. Senate. St. Joe's or the Benton Harbor area, Dr. Sherry O'Donnell. From the Detroit area, Mike Rogers. Mike? Mike's not here. Anyway, from Oscoda, we have Sharon Savage running for U.S. Senate. Okay, originally from the Upper Peninsula, but now living in Dexter. Nikki Schneider, currently on the Board of Education. If ever you're going to attend a party, attend one that's hosted by our next candidate from Detroit, Alexandra Taylor. And I'm not sure where Mr. Wilson is, but or where he's from, excuse me, but he is a graduate of MSU, and that is J.D. Wilson. Just another quick message is that there is another candidate who did not, Sandy Penciler, who was in the race, but makes himself very inaccessible. Getting access to him it's almost as if he's the president. So anyway, with that said, that did not work. I will now hand the mic to Chris Becker. We will do 2 rounds with each of our panel members, and then we will do the questions from the cards. Lance and a few others will collect the cards. So get a card and write down the good questions. We don't want to know how someone's mother's feeling or anything like that. So you got one mic, you got a mic. All right.
Test. There we go. Okay, thank you, Mike. Yeah, we'll just start off this debate. I want to say a few words, too, just in terms of, the decorum and so forth. I thought it was appropriate, since we're in a house of worship, I would take something from the letter of James. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. So I thought that was appropriate for the candidates and as well as for the audience here. I think Mike has said it best, that we want to hear all your statements here. You are here, you're putting yourself out there. I know what it's like being an elected official and running for office, so we want to hear from you. I'm not going to say nobody can cheer or boo or whatever, but we want to hear your thoughts and ideas, and I think that's one of the greatest things about being a Republican, is we're not afraid of ideas and sharing those ideas. So the first round actually is going to be a 1-minute statement, opening statement, and it's my understanding it's going to be alphabetically by last name. So I think, Mr. Hoover, you get to go first.
Well, thank you so much. So I am Michael Hoover, and I first want to thank our team, our supporters, and our volunteers, students for Hoover, my family, and especially my wife. We started this campaign almost a year ago, and since we've been in it, we've had 1,000 events, and we've had 10,000 conversations all over this state, with all different political stripe, with people from every different backgrounds. And one thing I've learned, that deep down, we all want the same thing. We want to live a life worth living. We want to engage in meaningful work, and we want to make a difference in our community. But when we look around today, what do we see? We see our national house toppling. Why? Because the foundation is crumbling. And our current leaders seem to know this, but they're just willing to put some patches on the holes and put another coat of paint and call it a day. And that's not getting the job done. And you can't build a sturdy house without a solid foundation, nor can you build a meaningful life. That takes family, community, health, education, security, and financial stability. 2024 is not about the house. It's about the foundation. And that's why I got in this race.
And that's 1 minute.
Thank you. To rebuild our state and national foundation, to make a difference for meaningful lives for ourselves, for our children, and our grandchildren. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here this evening. Oak Hills, thank you for hosting us. Ladies and gentlemen, we know why you're here. You're here because, number one, you're tired of what's happening, and you know there's much work to be done. But equally so, you understand there's a brighter day for Michigan and a brighter day for the United States. Let me share what President Reagan said to his United States State of the Union address. He said, "May it be said of us," that's us, ladies and gentlemen, "may it be said of us, that those that come behind us, said of us, we did everything that could be done." This is a sound of alarm. We must do everything that we possibly can. We're broken, and we need fixing. When we look at it, to be honest with ourselves is to take what's going to take and tick and fix the problems. We must be honest with ourselves. The immigration is broken. We're letting illegal immigrants in by the droves. Our educational system is broken. We're letting a woke agenda corrupt our children and corrupt our country.
That's a minute
I
right
am
there.
the one that will fight for that. Every system in our United States is broken. I've been on the front line, and as I was with
And
COVID,
that was a
I will
minute.
continue.
I gave you extra just like I did him. That's a minute.
Here's
You
for
can
one
finish
more
up.
minute. I'm Dr. Sherry O'Donnell, running for United States Senate. I'm counting on your vote.
Stay the same. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sharon Savage. I'm certainly not a politician, and I'm a retired school teacher. I love children. The first 15 years, I taught regular classroom, and as I proceeded for the last 13 years, I had, believe it or not, between 12 and 1,300 students, up to 46 classes, in up to 7 different schools. I wrote 55 books for children to make my teaching more interesting. I never made a penny on it, although children asked me to get it copyrighted. I just didn't even have time to do that. So I'm the proud grandmother of 5 grandchildren rather, and I love them dearly, and I want to see their education mirror more like what I did myself. I taught children how to think, not what to think. And the indoctrination that is going on in classrooms now breaks my heart. The transgender push, I have gotten a letter from Cole is her name, and she testified in front of Congress. And it is just unbelievable. She's now trying to sue the doctors that mutilated her body. And I've sent her money, and I wish her all the luck in the world. And that is one example of how indoctrinating children who
That's
are
a
not
minute.
fully mature to make those decisions are forced to.
I'm Nikki Snyder. I'm running for U.S. Senate. I am a mom, nurse, educator, and advocate. In 2016, I ran and won statewide with nearly 2 million votes. I am the only candidate in this race that has run and won statewide before. I now serve you on the State Board of Education. I've spent the last 6 years, it's an 8-year term, fighting for you, transparency and accountability in education. I was an original mama bear in the parental rights movement, and I consistently return the conversation in education back to results, not indoctrination. I've served in healthcare nearly 2 decades, had the opportunity to tell the truth about the virus and to oppose medical mandates at the board table during the pandemic. It's something I would do over and over and over again. We need to send someone who has expertise in healthcare and education, or we are going to continue to lose our freedom and rights and end up with an unsustainable budget at the end of the day anyways. I've served you as a member of the State Board of Education. I will serve you well as your next U.S. Senator. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Alexandria Taylor, and I am running for one reason and one reason only, to bring righteousness back to government. How many of you know we are in a spiritual battle here, and we are fighting for the soul of our nation? I have spent almost 13 years fighting in the courtrooms here in Michigan, and I am ready to take that fight to D.C. because our Constitution is under attack. They are eating away at our rights slowly. It's anti-God, anti-family, and anti-freedom. And we need a David for this Goliath battle. We cannot stand any more weak leadership, which is what we have in the White House now. We have a fight on our hands. And I was in Mar-a-Lago last week, and President Trump said 24 is the most important election of our lifetime. And friends, it is the most important election of our lifetime. Everything is on the line. I am pro-Israel. How many of you know to be an enemy of Israel is an enemy of God? We have to support Israel and stand for them. I am for energy independence. I am for protecting our borders and our Constitution. And I thank you so much.
I'm J.D. Wilson. I'm the new guy on the block. I am not a career politician. I'm an IT guy, small business. I'm here because I can't stand what I see going on, and I'm a solutions person. I work with elected and unelected government officials. I work with the IT folks, and I see what's going on around us. I negotiate with all of them to get us to the end zone, to get the job done. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about here now. I have solutions. Solution one, we need to restore the taxes against China, get our jobs back here in Michigan. Solution two, we need to close the borders. We have sanctuary counties in this state. That is lawlessness. That's all that translates into. Ignoring warrants is lawlessness. Last but not least, the least favorite on my campaign team, they do not like it when I go down this path. I have a plan to restore objective, free, and objective journalism. I have a plan to get the press to be the press, right? Somebody's got to pressure the government to do the right thing. J.D. Wilson for U.S. Senate, thank you.
We'll go back down there. Okay, I'm going to exercise my prerogative here. We talked earlier, just real briefly, they said 30 seconds on these questions. I think we've got less candidates here, and all of a sudden I'm looking at 1 minute went by really fast for all of you. So I'm going to give you a minute for each answer. I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with that, so we have less people here. We can get a little bit more out of you, if that's okay. All right? So the next round is it's going to be 3 questions. Each panelist is going to ask 3 questions each, and we'll go 1 minute on those questions, so you guys get a little bit more time. And starting with Mr. Hoover, I don't know who's going to ask the first question. I know we didn't go over that. So,
well, you're looking at me, Chris, so I think I'll go ahead. This is James Gimmel, and thank you to Oak Hill and Pastor Jeff for having us tonight, Michael Farage for doing his thing with Stand Up. Okay, I listed these questions specific, so let's start down here at the end with Mr. Hoover. And general question, which priorities would you rank highest when it comes to national security?
Well, the first thing comes to mind is China. Every way you look, China is invaded into our life. They're buying our land. We have to stop that. They're infiltrating, and they've stolen over $54 billion of intellectual property. We need to stop that. So China would be the #1 threat that we face in terms of our national security as our country. One thing that's good news, though, is China is $58 trillion in debt. That's 350% of their GDP. They're aging out faster than any other population across the world. So they are in trouble. They don't have the Navy that we have. We can always handle them. We need to do more to bring our manufacturing back home. I have a plan. It's called Buy America for America, and it incentivizes our businesses to come back home. Thank you.
Our greatest national threat is our open border. When we realize that not only is that costing us billions of dollars and every single taxpayer money because of the illegals coming in, it was said that we have no nation if we have no borders, and that's exactly where we are. While I agree with Mike that China's a threat, we are imploding from within. What is our greatest national security? I think what we need to do is fix Washington, D.C., and reestablish the honest and integrity of our judicial system and stop what's happening. Our border needs to be closed yesterday.
In like kind, I do believe the southern border is our most atrocious threat. People are coming in, we don't know their names, we don't know if they're terrorists, we don't know if they're selling fentanyl, and just the sheer numbers are just staggering and very fearsome. In addition to that, my next choice would be the UN. I want out of the UN. I do not want to be told what to do. I do not want to be told what to do by communists, and that's just what we're facing. China has been put in charge, and they have been part of the UN from its onset, which I did not know until I was doing research. It's very frightening to think of those that we have run from and shamed them are
10 seconds.
possibly going to be in charge of our lives. Please pray for them not to be.
So make no mistake, the #1 national security threat for the United States is actually internal. It's not external. It's our public education system. We are utilizing the U.S. Department of Education and politicized dollars and sending directives through Michigan Department of Education and to our local school districts to teach things that encourage our students to hate our country. So why would they bear arms to defend it? And they're not. We have a decrease in military enrollment of 25%. That's a real problem. So even if you do want to fight the border, I do, we all do, you won't have the military to do such if we don't fix this issue quickly. That is our #1 national security
10
issue.
seconds.
I've fought in education against these politicized dollars, and I will fight in education against these politicized dollars as a U.S. Senator.
So the open border is destroying this country. I'm a criminal defense attorney and I practice downtown Detroit, so I can tell you I've seen a lot. The drug cartel is active in the United States, and that is because of the open border. But also fentanyl. Fentanyl is devastating our communities. It's in the high schools, it's in the middle schools, but I was also on a conference call yesterday, and the drug cartel is here and has been ravaging Oakland County. There have been 20 home invasions in the past 2 months. The drug cartel here in Michigan. So we cannot stand to keep this border open. It is destroying our country from the inside out. Thank you.
I agree with all of my colleagues. We have a problem with China. We have a problem with the schools. We have a problem with the borders. And guess what? Guess who the head of that snake is? Biden. We've got to get Biden out of office. That is what will get our national security back. Right now, he's weaponized our DOJ. He's opened our communications with China. TikTok has a keylogger in it. That means when you go to your bank, it logs that you went to your bank, it logs your password and your user ID. How is it our government isn't protecting us from that and telling us that? This is the ridiculousness that we're putting up with. We've got to stop Biden. And if that's not Biden, the man stumbling on and off the stage, then it is the people that are behind Biden. Again, that is our answer to curing national security. It'll fix all of the problems we've outlined. Thank you.
Yep, it'll go to Dr. O'Donnell now. She'll be take the next question. I think you can have that one.
Okay, Dr. O'Donnell. The House Judiciary Committee put out a report over the summer regarding CISA. And in the report it states, quote, censorship of domestic speech and surveillance of American citizens, end quote, is occurring because of CISA. We also see the weaponization of government regarding January 6th. My question to you is, how would you specifically, as U.S. Senator, everyone of course, how would you fight against the weaponization of government against American citizens?
We need to give the people the power again. We need to absolutely stop every 3-initialed department in DC. That has absolutely become crooked. The Department of Justice is not a Department of Justice any longer, and nor is any of them. We've been weaponized. President Trump has been weaponized. Our freedom of speech has been taken, but so has every other freedom that we have. As a constitutionalist, I will go back and we will support and we will defend our Constitution. We will defend our freedoms. Second Amendment, First Amendment, every amendment. We need to reinstate their judicial system fairly and honestly and get rid of what's in DC right now.
I was an English major in undergrad, and as I look at journalists and people on news, it just blows my mind. I do not think that they are being fair with checking and double-checking their facts. They're misleading people, and as you probably heard, when you hear something 3 times, people start believing it. Well, you don't hear the Republican voice very much, Newsmax and a few others. So when I speak to people, they are just very thankful that I'm telling them things they've never heard. And so I think the key is to get rid of George Soros, for one, and his son, and other people that are that I think should find a communist country to live in, not ours, because we don't like it.
We need to dismantle the deep state. What does that look like? What does that mean? The deep state is the DOJ, it's bureaucracy, and it is candidates like those who didn't show up tonight and voted for the Patriot Act, and they're using it against you. The truth is, the DOJ is literally investigating 5th graders in Heartland, Michigan right now. Do you guys know that? They're keeping a dossier on students who make statements that sound racist, whether they are or are not. Our bureaucracies are registering homeschoolers or wanting to register homeschoolers because they don't want you to be free. That's a problem. Don't vote for someone who's going to continue to take away your freedom. Thank you.
So when we think about free speech and the First Amendment, who interprets that? Judges. And I can tell you this, as an attorney, our bench is liberal, very liberal. And so what I will do is walk alongside Republican attorneys to help get them elected, because President Trump isn't the only one, it's me. I represented Mike Lindell in an election integrity case. I represented some other plaintiffs suing the city of Detroit. And guess what happened? A liberal organization grieved my law license. A liberal judge in Detroit sanctioned me $60,000. So you have to look at who is interpreting the Constitution. It's like I said before, our Constitution is under attack, but the only way to protect that is making sure we have representation on the bench. I will do that as an attorney, walking side, coaching, mentoring, and encouraging, because as a candidate and as an elected official, you also have influence, and I would use my influence to do that, to protect our Constitution.
Legislature, judiciary, executive, separation of powers, right? Why is it that they get away with this? Well, we come back to 3-letter words, not DC 3-letter words, 3-letter words that I'm not going to use, a couple 6-letter words. We're back to the press. The press is responsible for telling us, and I say us, the people in this room, we're all looking, we're paying attention. It's not us, it's the folks that are relying on the press to give those answers. And they are not pushing the buttons they need to push. I'm going to repeat, the first day in, we will submit legislation that will define what true objective journalism is, and those 3-letter and 6-letter words are going to want to jump on board, because it will no longer be a simple, I can just pretend and manipulate the narrative.
10 seconds.
Thank you.
So, as a United States Senator, what do we have power over? certainly the judges. Money, defund them. Defund them. Stop giving them money so they can fight us and take away our rights. And yes, one of the candidates that helped create CISPA, helped create Patriot Act, is responsible for the reason why they get in your phone, they get on your TV and the computer and spy on you. That's what we have to undo. We can undo those laws. We can pull them back. We can pull back FISA. Those are the laws that we can go after, we can defund, and we can change so that we can protect. And one more thing, we need to have a technology platform. Can you believe today that we hand phones, thank you, to 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and we warp their minds? We must undo that too, and we do it through law. Thank you.
Ms. Savage, you have the next question. I think we'll go to Mr. Gimmel.
All right, well, let's play a little hardball now. Maybe this will get some separation. Turning to the U.S. defense, how would you react to a possible vote for war? That doesn't seem like that's out of the question right now. Many would say we're already fighting a number of proxy wars.
Are you referring to United States being involved in a current war?
Current and maybe a much bigger future war involving multi-nations.
Well, that's a very tough question. I always hate to think of the lives we lose, and when a war is over, it seems unfortunate that we could not have thought of the solutions much prior. I would really have to think a lot harder on a question like that. I never anticipated the United States getting in a war itself, other than, of course, Vietnam. But I'd like to say I'm against, only because I wish that we can learn from history. It seems very sad that we could learn from history, but it seems, I think, we never do. And I think most wars have to do with territorial rights and religious questions. And if I'm using a current issue, anyone that is not in favor of supporting Israel, I don't think is fully American. To think that a baby's being beheaded in front of their family is just unbelievable.
That's time.
So, yes.
Thank you. So wars are fought for two reasons: superiority and resources. We're seeing it now in Ukraine, we're seeing it in Israel. We do not need to go to war, but we do need to encourage national sovereignty and the right that each nation has to defend itself. One of the things that I see happening in the Middle East with Israel is this equating terrorism with the right to defend oneself. As Americans, we can be on the world stage, the leader of the free world, and encourage nations to defend themselves without going to war as the United States and sending our children to war. So I would not vote for that at this point in time.
So depending on the circumstances, sometimes it is necessary, but what I worry about now is because of the weak leadership that we have, that we are on the brink of war, and I feel that our country is at one of the most vulnerable places it has ever been because of that weakened leadership, and which is why I think, to be honest, under President Trump, we probably wouldn't have that risk because he's such a strong leader. We're in a season where we need that strong leadership. However, sometimes I do realize it's necessary. So depending on the facts and circumstances, if that is a necessity to protect America, because it is America first in our national security, then yes.
So, if we as a country are in a position where we need to go to war, by all means, I would absolutely say that that's what we need to do. But right now, we're in a position where we are at war amongst ourselves. And one thing war might bring to us is that unity that we felt coming out of 9/11, which I've had constituents pointing out to me, you know, maybe we need that again, which God forbid. But we do need some way to get us back together. We need to remember that we are the United States, and united we stand and divided we fall. And the reality is, if we're going to go to war as a united group, then I would be behind that if that's what's necessary. But as a united group, I don't think that'll be necessary. And I think that if we can break that division
10
down,
seconds.
we can not only save our party, but we can save our country. Thank you.
So let's look at some history and see how it worked out for us. How about Nicaragua? How about Vietnam? How about Iraq, Afghanistan? We spent trillions of dollars. Look at your debt. It's out of control. We lost millions of lives, and yet we have nothing to show for it. So the military-industrial complex is fully engaged in doing what they're doing to our country. That's one of the reasons why our inflation is where it's at today. Let's talk about Ukraine. That's what he's asking about. That war should have never started. We need to start being a power broker instead of a war manager. President Trump did that, and we'll do it again. We can get ourselves out of that war, negotiate a settlement, and make it done. What happens in Israel? Obviously, they needed to respond. Right thing to do. But now they're going to go across and they're going to decimate that country.
10 seconds.
And then what are we going to have left with? We're going to have them either they're going to continue to take over Israel, or they're going to come back and they're going to put up their border, and we're going to have Hamas too. We need an international force to take control of that situation immediately.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been in Israel. I was in Lebanon, and I was in Ukraine when the war broke out. I can tell you I saw firsthand what Hamas is able to do. We cannot allow those threats to occur. We cannot not align up with Israel. I saw that. I've experienced that. And what we have to understand also is that we need strong leadership. Right now on the United International Front, we are a mockery instead of the United States of America. We need strong leadership again. And yes, I agree, if Trump was in office, that would not have happened. But we need to go ahead and be able to not only sanction, but we need to make certain that we are not giving our oil away. We need to open the pipeline and drill at home. Russia would not be at war right now if we held them liable and we held them accountable. We need to take our strong front again, change leadership, and send some warriors to D.C.
So I think, Ms. Snyder, you have the next question, and Ms. Caramo?
Okay. Do you consider the World Economic Forum an adversarial entity? If no, why not? If yes, what can we do to stop them?
Yes, I do. They need to stay out of Michigan. They need to stay out of our country. We write our laws. We govern the way we choose to govern according to our Constitution that we have adopted. The last thing Michigan needs is the World Economic Forum to set up shop here, where 40% of our small businesses closed down during the pandemic. You guys, we led the nation in small business closings. That's something to consider. We absolutely do not need a global entity to come in and tell us how to clean up the mess that they helped to create.
They're absolutely an adversary, and we see this playing out. The 15-minute cities, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, buying up all the homes. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen, but homes is becoming unaffordable. Like, the average person cannot even buy a home anymore, and this is that agenda, and we have to come against it strongly.
The notion of a world economy being successful implies that everybody's getting along. When China, our biggest adversary, is saying flat out that they're at war with us, why in the world would we open business with them? NAFTA was the biggest devastation to the Rust Belt, in Michigan in particular, when we expanded that to include China. It's absolutely ridiculous. So no, I'm absolutely against the World Forum as far as world economy. It is not beneficial for Michigan. It's not beneficial for the United States. We are leaders globally, and we need to live that position. We need to be those leaders. Thank you.
So you don't want Colonel Klink in charge of our country? I don't either. Clearly, they are a threat. They are a threat to our country. They're a threat to our sovereignty. They're a threat to our freedom. So we have to look at them as what they are. They are an adversary, and we have to absolutely go back at them, and we need to make sure that we defund every single dollar. Remember, we're United States senators. We have the purse. We got to pull ourselves out of all those relationships so that we can maintain. We know what we need? We need American Economic Forum. That's what we need. We need for small business owners. We need to fund those people because that's how we get our country going again. Thank you so much.
I think it's, you got your answer still, I think. Yeah, because it started with, yeah. Yep. World Economic Forum. We still got one more because it started with her.
Okay.
Yep. Unless you want to pass.
No, absolutely not. So, do I see the World Economic Forum as an adversary? Absolutely we do. When we stop and think about what they stand for and what they're doing, there is no doubt about it. The other thing that we see amongst the World Economic Forum is our medical sovereignty. Anybody else want to relive the pandemic, the plandemic of COVID? Our medical sovereignty is being given to the World Health Organization. That is part of World Economic Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot afford that agenda to continue. We have to stop it in its tracks. But it's not new. A lot of people have thought that it's new, but it goes back many years. We need to wake up. We need to make certain that we do not let that continue on any front. Thank you.
Yep.
To be completely candid, I am not as informed on this particular topic as I might be. I will do my homework soon. But I would like to share something that I think is a drain on our economy, and that is the false alarm of climate change. It is completely a hoax, and I'd like to recommend this book. There's some 1,300 books, some pro and some con on the topic. This one is by Bjorn Lomborg, and he tells how climate change panic costs us trillions, hurts the poor the most, and fails to fix the planet. I have never read a book that has 26 pages of bibliography with about 10 real scientists on it. I urge you to read this because I think as far as our economy, this is one of the sources that are draining us.
I think Ms. Taylor has the next question. We have two more, Mr. Gimbel, and you have one each on one more, and I guess hopefully they're getting the 3x5 cards because the next round will be audience questions. So next question to you right now.
All right, thank you very much, Chris. And since we're already kind of hitting around the bush with it right now, the elephant in the room question, unless you're independently wealthy.
Is that a Republican joke?
I'm not sure. It's not a joke right now. The economy and inflation. Talk about some specifics of what you would do as a U.S. Senator to tackle that problem.
Cut spending. That's the number one thing, is cutting spending. Government is way too large, and the inflation is killing people. You know, I deal with the public. I'm in courts every day. I always say two things: gas and groceries. People are truly struggling. Job creation, bringing jobs back here, bringing manufacturing back here. The left is killing the American dream. Killing it. You used to could be able to support your family on one income. Now you have people struggling with two incomes. And so bringing jobs back here, cutting spending, those are things that will help boost the middle class, but also make the American dream a reality once again.
20%. 20% since he went into office. I heard it on the way here today. I can't believe it. You know what my mother tells me? Well, they didn't raise the interest rates the last 3 times, JD. Like, are you kidding me, Ma? It's 20%. That's $8,000 out of the average household per year. What are we talking about? We have got to get rid of Biden. We've got to get rid of the free spending. How is it that they're asking for 2020 budget again? We need to take the money away. Are you kidding? We don't need to live at pandemic levels when we had nobody working. People are allegedly going back to work. I'm hearing the numbers. Yeah, hey, Mom, the record job increases. Well, yeah, record job decreases. Are we going over and under? Are we doing the math? We need to do the math, folks, and the math is common sense. Thank you.
Makes me think, does anybody have a calculator in D.C.? It's a sad story. It really is. Just in my lifetime, the cost of living is up somewhere 2,000%. We went off the gold standard. That was the trick by the top 1.1%. Since just 1999, the dollar has shrunk from being worth $1 to now 55 cents. Over that same period of time, the top 1.1% has generated $37 trillion in wealth. Why? Because you don't have hard money, because you continue to spend out of control, you bail out Wall Street, you bail out big business, you continue to print money, and you're continuing to keep your interest rates below the marketplace. They will not change it until we stop voting for people that control that, which is the 1.1%. They've got a great gravy train going, and I'll get it out. And we don't want to stop it. They don't want to stop it. We've got to stop it. That's the only way we do that, is we get control of the money, control the spending, and truly a fiscal conservative will do that, and I'll do that for you as your next United States Senator. Thank you.
Our inflation is higher than it ever has been in decades. We have to stop the spending, but we also have to make certain that we stop the overreach tyrannical government from the regulations that they are putting on every industry. Those in the industry, thank you. Those in the industry know their industry best, but the taxation, I am for a no tax. I am no tax increase. I'm the only one that I am aware that has signed the no tax increase. We need to stop the taxation. We need to have representation. We need to bring home the bacon to America. We need to stop the spending. We need to make certain that we give and empower Americans to manage their own pocketbook. When Trump got into office, when Trump got in office, he had inflation controlled. When Biden got into office, gas was $2.08.
10 seconds.
We all feel it at the grocery store, at the gas tank. We need to make certain that America has control of our dollar.
I did not hear anything, direct anything towards you. I did not hear anything for a rebuttal that you would get another chance.
She said that she was the only one that signed the no tax, so that's not true.
Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds to respond. I'll take that.
I went to D.C. and I signed the
Microphone, can you give him a microphone?
Mic, please. Sorry. Yeah, so I was in D.C. and I signed that we would no new taxes at all. And while I got more than 30 seconds, the other thing we have to do is we're known as Regulation Nation. The reason why we have such expensive, big businesses love regulations. And they put more regulations through because that keeps the competition out. And the last thing is energy. You're talking to an energy expert. I'm from the industry. More energy we have, the lower cost we have.
Well, President Biden's excessive regulations are hurting Michigan families and businesses. In his first year, as you probably know, Biden added more than $200 billion in new regulatory costs to our economy. I would support the REINS Act, which you probably know would require that Congress approve any regulations that cause us more than $100 million in economic impact. When I was thinking today of the figures that I would have to deal with as your senator, we think hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, all those zeros. It's beyond my recognition. I've never seen that much, and you probably have not either. I have a couple things as a teacher I like to demonstrate with visuals. I have a copy of the omnibus bill. I would not have voted for one single thing on this list. We were already up to here in debt. And yet, enough people, including Republicans, saw fit to pass $1.7 trillion. May I have one more second? This is something very cute.
Real quick.
Okay.
Give you 1 second.
I have a bill from Venezuela. These people have lost 25 pounds in 1 year, not because they were fat people. This is their money. This is 100 bolivares, which is $100. Do you know what this is worth? $2.
Okay.
I don't want to be a Venezuela.
I'll make a correction as well. I believe I was the first candidate that's up here that visited DC and actually signed the Americans for Tax Reform pledge, which is what we're referring to. It means that I, as your next U.S. Senator, will not raise taxes. But there is one thing that's going to make all the difference in inflation in our economy: passing a budget balanced amendment to our Constitution. If you can't go over your budget, the government should also not be able to go over their budget. It's that basic. And while we're talking about debt and spending, send someone who has healthcare and education expertise and knowledge. You guys, these are two top line items in our statewide and federal budget. We rarely send conservatives who know and understand the nuance of that policy that can make good deals on our behalf. Instead, we send people who negotiate away our rights and freedoms for better deals for themselves. It's a big issue. I'll be the 51st vote that will also make permanent Trump's tax credits and the tax credits from 25. Thank you.
Okay, your final question before we get into the audience questions. Choose wisely.
So, oftentimes we see candidates say great things and platitudes while running. Why should Michiganders trust you to be the Republican nominee for U.S. Senator?
Because I'm not a politician. I'll stop right there. I mean, the bottom line is I'm a small business guy. I'm doing this not for my benefit. In fact, it's kind of swept me up. It came along out of the blue. One of my kids came and said, "Dad, I think you should do this." And I said, "You're crazy. There's no way." And every time I've turned a corner, something has swept me further down this river. I tried to jump out of the boat twice, and Jesus himself said, "You've got to stay in this boat." So I'm staying in this boat. And I am not your career politician. I'm one of you.
That's the right answer. The last thing he said is, "I'm one of you." That's exactly the answer that came to my mind as soon as that question came up. And what does that mean? Well, I made a difference in my communities. When I was 17 years old, I had the choice to bring home my daughter, and I did. When I was 20 years old, I married my high school sweetheart. And then we moved to the city of Detroit, and we lived in the city. And then we went to Midland, and we went to Northwood, and we got our degree, and then we worked at Dow Chemical. And then we helped change our community with a recycling center, and I helped change America, recycling over 500 million pounds that saved us 3,000 landfills and 200 million gallons of gas. I've employed hundreds of kids from across our state and thousands of people across our country. I've traveled the globe. I've seen Germany. I've seen Poland. I've seen Nicaragua. And I've worked in Asia. So the bottom line is we have 4 children. We have 9 grandchildren. They live every single day. We mow our lawns. We go to the grocery store. We go to the schools. We understand the issues. We are committed into you. Thank you.
Thank you. How can you know that you can trust me? Look at my record. I'm a small business owner. I still own my own practice, and I still practice medicine every day as a real physician, not like Fauci. The hospital has wanted to buy my practice for decades, and I've let them know I'm not for sale. I've stood against the rhetoric. I've united our community. When COVID was first out, not only did I not buy into the rhetoric and the lies, but I also decided that what we needed was to join our communities together. So I had pastors of color, and I had the police because I still back the blue. And I had worship leaders coming together to stand together because we needed to stand together. I'm not bought. I will not be bought. You can tell the future by looking back at our history. I have not been bought, and I will not, except for the one that laid his life down. He has already bought me.
Why pick me over all these other nice people? Because I don't own a business. I'm not a millionaire or anywhere near it. I've never been close to politics with the exception of being a couple terms as a Republican delegate. I also joined the, I'm on the school board trying to uncover anything there that I can change. It's just astounding to me that many people, and I don't mean to hurt feelings, but many politicians have people to try to please. I have no intentions to serve longer than 6 years. I am have very strong convictions,
10 seconds.
and nobody but nobody will change my mind on issues that align completely with Trump. I dare say, and I would fight anyone in this panel, that there's anyone that is more supportive of all the things that Trump was able to do.
And
I
that's
start
time.
my day with praying for his health. I don't know how the man can withstand 7 years of being persecuted. And I just, it shows on his face lately, sad to say.
So when you wonder who you should support, politicians should run for office with purpose, they should serve with purpose, and then when they're done fulfilling that purpose, they should go home. They should not retire a millionaire. I decided to run in 2016. I tossed and turned, couldn't sleep for about 3 weeks after the transgender guidelines came out. My actual home district was the foundation of those transgender guidelines, and I wanted to fight them, and I decided to fight them. I have other stories. 2 of my 3 children were born with congenital anomalies, one with a cleft lip and one with one arm. Much like thalidomide in the 60s, I took a drug that was off-label use and prescribed to me during pregnancy. Unfortunately, I suffered the consequences of bureaucracy that refuses to do its job.
10 seconds.
I am a mom on a mission. I'm here to serve you with purpose. That's how you know who to trust.
When the Lord said, "Whom shall I send?" I said, "Here I am, Lord, send me." My worldview is the Bible. We have a spiritual battle that is going on here, and a lot of times we look at the outside, and it makes me think about when God said to Samuel, you know, how long will you mourn for Saul? It's time for another. I've chosen another. And he goes to Jesse's sons, and they're all lined up, much like we're lined up. And he's like, oh, this one looks good. Look at this one. That one looks good. And God had to remind him, I'm looking at the heart, not the outside. And so we are in a time where you need to look at the heart of the leaders that you're electing. They have to have a heart for God, because I'm going to tell you, nothing else will keep them if not the Spirit of God. And so that's why you could trust me. It's not by might. It's not by power, but it is by his Spirit that I stand here today.
And time. We go all the way back down here. Now, I think I'm just to give you guys an update. I know it gets when you're wondering how much longer do we have up here? I've got about 50 minutes right now. We're supposed to go 90, so we're about halfway. We did get started late, so I'm going to defer to Mike if we've got to cut out early, because we're going to go past 8:30 as it stands now, but we're at about 50 minutes. What we're going to start now, these are audience questions. Both of them have been given a stack. They're going to choose from those audience questions. And yeah.
Can I quick rebuttal on the Trump point?
Yeah, that was not a rebuttal. She was talking.
Okay.
So I don't think that was a rebuttal. She didn't come anything after you. So I will let Mr. Gimmel talk to the first audience question.
Thanks, Chris. And these are on their index cards. This is kind of a yes or no question, so you might want to elaborate a little bit. Should border states send their National Guards to the border to keep illegals out?
So there's actually a case that was Arizona versus United States, and that took away the rights for states to defend their border. We need to, through law, reinforce the states' rights to defend their national borders. Absolutely. So yes, they need to put their National Guard, but they also need to have the right to do it.
The same question I support and agree with what Mike is saying. But we need to empower our border controls. And right now, that has been disenfranchised, and we can't do our jobs on the border. We need to support and we need to empower them to do their jobs. We also need to empower that the illegals are sent back. The thousands that are sent across every day, let alone the gotaways. We got to get the gotaways and send them back. We absolutely need to close our borders, but don't forget, it's not only the southern border that needs to be closed. We're also being infiltrated from the north. Michigan now is a state border, and we need to make certain that we close all our borders.
Well, aside from that, I wanted to add something, that $780 million was spent stimulus money for prisoners. That's very hard to believe that anyone in government would vote for something like that. It's hard to fathom. And as far as our borders go, I saw something the other day with the debris. 8 pounds of trash per each person coming across. Do you know what that's going to cost us to clean up that garbage? And being the push from China to have clean everything when you have to wear a mask usually in China even before COVID. Secondly, on top of that, I was going to say that, oh, I lost my thought. I can't believe I lost my thought. Oh.
10 seconds.
In another country, Jamaica, they pollute by putting their trash on the shore, and when the tide comes in, it flushes out. Why is China picking on us? There's numerous places that are doing way worse than us.
So yes, 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 and yes. As it relates to the border, one of the biggest swings we need to take is military action at the border and complete the wall. It's extremely important for us to do. Thank you. But there are two things I want to expand on, talking points for us to take away from tonight. I speak to people statewide, nationwide, fundraising for this U.S. Senate campaign. And one of the biggest things we don't realize is when we don't take action at the border, it really impacts our systems. So healthcare is really, truly being overrun. Our hospitals are being overrun by illegal immigrants. It's a real problem. I've heard stories from people who have built their businesses from the ground up. They have healthcare insurance, they pay for it, and then they show up at the hospital and they don't have access to that system that they're paying taxes into.
10 seconds.
That's the very real reality of not fighting at the border. Thank you.
Yes, states should be able to protect their border, but like Mike said, right now, pursuant to case law, they cannot do that. So it goes back to what I said earlier. We as Republicans have ignored the bench. And so we have to get Republican judges on the bench because these judges are the ones that are interpreting the laws and the Constitution. And so our Constitution will continually be at stake and they will continue to eat away at our rights if we don't pay attention to these judges in judicial elections.
Just a quick rebuttal from earlier. I am not a millionaire, nor do I plan on being one after I've been in office. As far as state, I'm not going to get into this, whether states rule state laws or not. What I am going to get into, we got the same problem here, folks. It's the same problem. We already have the laws to protect our border. We just need the federal government to actually do it. And Biden is the reason we're not doing it, and that has got to be changed. And we need to swing this seat to the other side, and I'm the guy that can get in there, and once we do, Biden won't have the power to do what he's doing today. We'll take the money away.
I think it's going to go next question, and the man of the year gave a suggestion that we should probably cut these down to 30-second answers since we have quite a stack here. So I'm going to ask you to do 30-second answers. I'm going to give you a little bit of a leeway, but 30-second answers now so we can get through more of these questions. Pardon? Cut to the chase, as he says. Who does argue with the man of the year, right? So next question to you.
Okay, so how do we combat Democrats cheating in the next election? So I would say, I guess, as a senator, how would you combat systemic election corruption?
Number one, we need to be educated. We have been a lazy group of people. Secondly, we need to beat them at their own game. We need to stop the fraudulent activity. We need to make certain that there's honesty and integrity in our elections. We need to increase the poll watchers, the election workers, the poll, everything at the poll, that is integrity, full of honesty, that every American's vote count, and not have illegal immigrants be able to vote. I and Senate will do that.
I think I might have something different to share with you that you may not know. France has paper ballots that they can get the results by midnight like we used to. I would love to go back to that. Something else you may be unaware of. In Mexico, to be able to vote, they not only need ID, picture ID, they also do fingerprinting. I hate to think of our country being less stern with our elections than these countries.
We need to support our friend back here, Riley Linting, in Turning Point Action. They're going to have a strong ground game this next election cycle, right? About 8% of Christians actually turned out to vote in the last election cycle. So Prop 2 passing is actually going to be a very good thing for Republicans. Some people believe it's going to be a landslide. So we need to beat them at their own game. That's what we need to do. Turn out the vote.
So I fought 2 election lawsuits, and the right to vote is illusory if we cannot trust our elections. But again, it goes back to what I said before. The attorneys were getting grieved out of court. Like every suit that I filed, a grievance was filed against my law license. So it goes back to we have to make sure we have representation on the bench. We have to utilize the FOIA process, litigate the FOIAs. We have to fight against this process. But in this upcoming election, 2 ways to do it is we have to flip moderate Democrats and independents because we know they're going to try to cheat. So we have to come out strong.
I agree with shortening the election cycle. I think it's ridiculous. It's nothing but a game to be able to manipulate the vote. If I've got an extra 3 days, I go get however many extra votes that I need. That has got to stop, absolutely. I think that the Republicans now are finally in a position where they can oversee. We were on the shoreline for X number of years because of grievances of the past. That's gone away. We absolutely need to do that. But at the end of the day, we need a free press. And without a free press, we don't know that we're being lied to, and that is what has to happen in order to correct things.
So there's actually been a new proposal in D.C. for cleaning up the vote, and that would be election law that I would completely support because it does a lot of the things that we talk about every single day here in our state. So that would be the first thing. The next thing is we do have to get the independents and we have to get the Reagan Democrats to vote for us. We just got to overwhelm the vote. And how do we do that? Well, I actually went to Genesee County. I went to their fair. And there's a lot of Democrats. And they'd walk up and they'd say, "What are you?" And I'd say, "I'm an American." And they're like, "Oh, I got to talk to you." And then I meet them where they're at.
And that's time.
And you tell me what's important to you, and then once we listen to them, that's when they sign our signature, and that's when they vote for us. Thank you.
Yep. So, Mr. Gimmel, your question.
All right, this is under the culture war category. What is your stance on abortion? When, if ever, should it be legal?
Well, if you allow me to get my little notes here, because I have been defending abortion all my life since 73, going door to door, working with Barb Listing, who's head of the group, and walking up and down on US 23, holding signs like abortion, adoption is an option. I just don't understand why people use it as a birth control measure. When I was waiting to adopt my children, an aunt sent me something from the St. Louis newspaper stating that the most common reason for abortion at that time was women who were already married, had 2 children, but didn't want to spoil their figure or lose their job. That is flimsy reasons.
So I am likely the most pro-life candidate up here. I'm a labor and delivery nurse. I know the nuance of the topic can have the discussion in and out. But I know that as we move forward, in order to win this next election and to work backwards, we need to encourage a pro-life culture. Tell your pro-life story. Everyone has one. We've lost this battle because we've allowed people to tell their pro-choice story and take up all the space. Every single person in this room has a pro-life story. We need to develop consensus around late-term abortion. 70+% people do not agree with late-term abortion.
And that's
We're going
time.
to tackle that. We're also going to attack intent and safety.
Before I formed you, I knew you. That's the word. I'm pro-life, no exceptions. However, I'm calling on the churches to get back to purity. We are in an over-sexualized culture that acts like sex is the only option. I'm gonna say, like my mother used to tell me, boys, keep your pants up, girls, keep your pants up, keep the skirts down. It's like we have to get back to purity and abstinence, and that's something that I learned in the church youth group. And so that's something that the church, we have to push that back out there and overcome this sexualized culture that they're doing to our children.
I think we agree. I mean, my personal belief is God's will. Unborn lives matter too. And that's that. And that, at the end of the day, that's all I can say on the topic.
Boy, do I wish I had more than 30 seconds. I was 17 years old. I was a senior in high school. I was getting recruited by the University of Michigan, Michigan State, all over the place to play football. A former girlfriend came to me and she said, I'm pregnant and it's your baby. She didn't want the baby, but eventually she had the baby. My mom and dad came to me and said, hey, if you want to bring that baby home, we'll help you. I said, yes, right away. I brought that baby home. I raised my daughter. I am pro-human, I am pro-baby, and we need to do a lot more outside of the government entity to save these kids' lives.
As Pastor Jeff said, it is about one child. I am looking forward to the day that no woman is coerced or pressured into having an abortion. As the only female physician on this platform, I can speak to the fact that I am not only pro-life, but I am for every woman's health issues. I'm the only one that on this ticket that's going to beat Alyssa Slotkin at what she is saying, not only the abortion issue, but I am the doctor. I save lives, and I will continue to save lives, the unborn as well as the living. I am the only one that will beat Alyssa Slotkin as a female physician.
That's time. Rebuttal.
Yeah, I've debated Alyssa Slotkin in person on this very issue, and I've taken her to task, and I will continue to take her to task because she has no limits. Thank you so much.
I think we're now to Ms. Snyder. Next question. I think it's going to be yours.
With the prospect of war looming here, when will the Pentagon, or how, I would say, how will the Pentagon be held accountable for their many years multi-billion-dollar imbalanced budget?
Again, balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. Stop taking us to wars we can't afford. Stop taking us to wars that we shouldn't be fighting. Tell the truth about these things. The more we speak the truth about this, the more they'll be held accountable to it. Thank you.
At the end of the day, we have to cut the money off. Money talks, and so we have to cut the money. We have the power to do that as U.S. senators, and that's what I would do, defund them.
I agree with my colleagues on this. I mean, we need to defund them. We need to take the military engine apart. People shouldn't get rich because the United States is going to war, period.
So you have to have an enemy if you're going to have a $1 trillion military-industrial complex empire. And here's the thing, in World War II, for every commander, there were 6,000 soldiers. Today, for every commander, there's 1,200 soldiers. We're extremely fat and heavy at the top. We need a serious haircut job so that we can get it right size and stop. And they cannot, we need to audit them. They can't, right now, they can't even tell you where the money's going because it's so corrupt. So we need to audit them and do that, and we can do that. We can do that as the United States Senators. Thank you.
We need to make certain that politicians don't get rich by going to war. There's a politician that unfortunately is not on the stage tonight that he's got millions of dollars by the military because it benefited him for a war. We need to make certain that that doesn't happen again. Absolutely, we need to cut the spending. We need to also cut the spending on frivolous cases and stop with what we're doing in the grants that are allowed in the government, medical grants that have no medical choice, no medical information that's gathered from that. Stop the frivolous spending. Bring that back to the correct, balanced budget.
Would you please repeat the question?
Sure. With the prospect of war looming here, and the question says when will, but I would rephrase it, how will the Pentagon be held accountable for their many-year, multi-billion-dollar imbalanced budget?
Well, maybe they should be fired without any more thought given to it. I think that our government is we the people, not we the government.
We'll be up for the next question. Mr. Gimel, you have?
All right, well, somebody referenced earlier the one world economy, and the book of Revelation talks about the one world government and some other things being ushered in. This question is, what can you do to stop the World Health Organization from stealing our sovereignty?
It all goes back to the funding. You know, the World Health Organization, we saw during the COVID pandemic just how corrupt they are, and it goes back to money. We have to cut off money to these agencies and entities that are coming after our very freedom. I don't understand. Some of these things aren't difficult. Stop the spending, cut the funding, end of story.
We have to stop. We have to stop it. We have to take the money away. There are no other answers, and I agree with my colleagues. I mean, at the end of the day, if it isn't funded, it can't happen. And what they did is they scared us, and they went, oh, if I take these rights away, you're all going to survive another day, right? And that's the game, is to scare us into submission. We have got to stop that from happening, and the answer is to take away the cash.
Who's the biggest funders of the WHO? The Communist Party and the pharmaceutical industry. Why? They want to push drugs. So we have to go after the pharmaceutical industry. And I said earlier, China was our biggest threat. They're the ones behind the WHO as well. So that's what we have to do, is you have to go after the pharmaceutical to make sure that we undercut the funding into there. And we also need to pass laws. We need to pass laws that protect our people, to protect your body, so that you get to do with your body as you choose. Thank you.
As a physician, I understand the World Health Organization probably better than anybody else on this stage. We need to absolutely disengage from the World Health Association. China does not have our health care interest in mind. They have demolishing us as a nation. We need to disengage from the World Health Organization, make certain that we do not give our medical sovereignty to the World Health Organization. We need to be independent. We have the best scientists. We have the best physicians when they want to be a physician, unlike Fauci. We need to make certain that we disengage from the World Health Organization. As a physician in Senate, I will make certain that happens.
WHO, who? I'm sorry, I just don't understand why we, with so many people that have businesses, could be involved more strongly with a medicine that we are so reliant on China. They're trying to kill us in so many ways, lacing other pills with fentanyl and so on. We need to leave China alone and let them do what they've got to do, but not involve our wonderful country.
So I've been fighting the World Health Organization since I was in nursing school. I left my job at a local hospital because I wasn't going to take the vaccine mandates. And I'm certainly the one person, thank you, up here that is going to fight pharmaceutical companies like no other because of the story that I already shared with you here tonight. But one thing I want to say is, if national sovereignty is important, then we need to teach our children in public education what it is. That's how we value it.
Do you support the repeal of the 16th Amendment and closing the IRS?
Although that is a fun question. Sure. I'm all for making our government smaller, and I don't like paying taxes any more than you do. I think that we need to straighten out spending, and I do not believe that the IRS should be weaponized as it is today. So if that means closing it, so be it. But clearly we need a collection institution, and at the end of the day, we just need to stop the corruption. That's what has to happen. Stop Biden now.
Who writes your tax laws? Wall Street, big banks. That's who's doing it. So if we really wanted to clean this up, certainly we can go in and we can do a lot with policy, but a flat tax would be a wonderful idea, would it not? And that would clean up, and so that the top 1.1%, they've gained $37 trillion in the last 23 years, but they're not paying taxes on it because it's assets. They love inflation. So we got to clean it up, and if we go to a flat tax, we can clean up a lot of that, and they can start paying some taxes where they need to. Thank you.
I agree with Mike. We need a flat tax. But more importantly than that, we need to make certain that we fire 87,000 IRS agents that were given guns instead of us keeping our guns. I'm a 2A kind of gal, and that is craziness. The IRS needs guns. Let's go flat tax. Let's pay the taxes that are due, but let's disengage and disempower the IRS.
I was just going to say what you did, that we certainly don't need more IRS agents. We need less, especially with people oftentimes having a much easier time filing their own taxes online. I just do wonder why we need them at all.
Make it short and sweet. We need tax reform in favor of taxpayers, but we do need national defense. Thank you.
So I think we need to shift our focus to the U.S. tax code, which I've taken tax law. I don't know if anybody has ever seen the U.S. tax code. It's almost 1,000 pages. And there's red tape that specifically hinders small and medium-sized businesses. So I think we need to shift our focus actually to the tax code and address it through there.
Okay, just we're at 8:40, so we're a little bit over time. I would propose maybe one more question, a quick one. Maybe you can limit it to 20 seconds, and then we'll go into closing statements. Is that okay with everybody? I don't want to be respectful of your time because I know some of you have to drive a ways. So, all right, we'll do one last round. Try and limit it to 20 seconds. Ballpark.
Christmas
Yep.
party after.
All right, well, the rapid fire round, this person asked, which one of you can raise $10 million needed to win? Maybe you could talk about how real quickly.
So one of the blessings that took place is that we were picked up by the Social Conservative Conference. That led us to walk into the doors to the Heritage Foundation and talk to all their leadership and donors. That led us into the Club for Growth, Council for National Policy, and the Beckett Law. And I think I'm the only candidate that's been invited to participate in every single one of those. And they said, if you win your primary, count on the money coming.
Mike, you've not been the only one, but thank you. I've already interviewed with Club for Growth in the past. But what we need to understand is that it is the grassroots. We are the grassroots. But we are going to be funded by you. We're going to be funded by those organizations that see the value in getting people to Senate that will represent us, we the people. And yes, it's going to be by we the people. I am for the people, we the people.
I'm sorry, but I could not hear the question. Could you please repeat?
Which one of you can raise $10 million needed to win?
I guess it's not going to be me. I have not gotten one penny as of yet. I'm not very well known at this point, but I hope in due time I will be getting donations, but I don't anticipate anything in that vein.
So I am going to raise the money necessary to win the primary, and Michael is correct. They're not going to abandon the candidate that wins in the primary. This is one of only 2 open and truly competitive U.S. Senate seats nationwide this next cycle. Michigan is going to be a big part of what it looks like to return the Senate to Republicans in '24. I am the only candidate in this race that has run and won statewide before with nearly 2 million votes, with Trump at the top of the ticket.
I agree. This is going to be a real grassroots effort. None of us up here, I don't think any of us are millionaires. It's going to take the people. Everything is on the line, as I stated, and if everyone understands what is at stake next year, I believe that everyone will support financially to get us across the line, because at the end of the day, we have to flip this seat next year.
It goes without saying that the nomination is going to come with the money. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I'm one of you. I need you. I'm not a millionaire, as I said earlier. I'm a small business guy. I jumped into this to be one of you. Grassroots is where it's going to be. $5, $10. Can you volunteer? At least join, grab the newsletter, and find out about my town halls. I'm going to be having personal town halls where you get to meet me and get to know more about me. Thank you.
And actually, no, you can keep the microphone. You can keep the microphone, Mr. Wilson, because we're going to closing statements, and it's going to be in reverse order. Oh, so I get to keep. So yeah, you get to keep on talking. Just
wow, that's every politician loves that. But I'm not a politician.
It's a 1 minute closing statement. 1 minute closing statement, going in reverse order now.
All right. So I think I've made my points pretty clear tonight. The biggest thing I think is going to benefit us as people is my journalism push. Even though my team says I need those 3-letter and 6-letter words to get us to the finish line, I think at the end of the day they're going to be on my side too. Clearly, we have got to fix our open borders. Clearly, we have got to stop kowtowing to China in every way, shape, and form, right in front of all of us. I mean, how obvious, right? We need some common sense back in the game. And as I mentioned, I need your help. I know I'm the right one for the job, but I need you all to know I'm the right one for the job, which is why we're going to be doing those town halls. You're going to see a series of them starting in January, and I will be going to the towns, and we'll be doing virtuals. If you join up, but my site will invite you automatically, but otherwise, you're going to hear about me. Believe me. Thank you.
Nope.
So I grew up Democrat, which is not a story unlike a lot of black people. And the first time I ran for office, I ran as a Democrat, and it was at that time that I was really enlightened to the anti-God nature of that party. And so I left the Democratic Party. Thank you. And when I said yes to running for this seat, my eyes were truly open to what God wanted me to do, because the Democratic Party has masterfully woven race within their platform. And how many of you know they've had a stronghold on the black community, yet while keeping them in cycles of poverty and victimhood? It's time to speak the truth against the identity politics of the Democratic Party. And there's only 2 ways we can win next year, because we know they're going to try to cheat. We have to flip moderate Democrats and independents independence. I am that voice to do that. I will go in those communities. I am the David for this Goliath battle in 24. Let's flip this seat.
So we have a choice to make. We can choose a career politician that's doing politics per usual and lose to Alyssa Slotkin a fourth time, or we can choose a different type of candidate. It's going to look different, it's going to sound different, and it's going to feel different, because that's what's necessary to win this seat that we have not held in nearly 30 years. We need to send a tough, pissed off mom who is ready and willing to fight tooth and painted nail for our children, our freedoms, and our future. I'm going to leave you with something that President Trump said this last weekend. Our mission in this race is to win a historic and powerful mandate to take back our nation from the shadow government of corrupt alliances. Heck yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Well, over the last few years, America has become a country that many of us don't even recognize. Our speech is silenced. We're battling daily for simple religious freedoms, and they're destroying our sovereignty, our border, our economy, our energy policy, it seems like the list goes on, the safety of our children, and the security of our streets. I attended Catholic school from first grade through postgraduate school. I pray daily, and I pray for our country. I pray for Trump's safety. In 1962, our national motto was, "In God we trust." It was adorned in the House chamber as a rebuke of the Marxist philosophy of the Soviet Union, which begins with the premise that there is no God. This is a critical distinction that is articulated in our Declaration of Independence, which clearly states, all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
As we conclude tonight, thank you for being here. Once again, Oak Hills Church, thank you for hosting us. But ladies and gentlemen, you have a decision to make tonight. And I'm going to ask you to remember to make certain that you fill out your straw polls in the back of the bulletin. So why am I that U.S. Senate candidate that we need to send? First off, this pandemic that we've just experienced, we cannot afford to do that again. Every single system in our country right now is broken. That is called multi-system organ failure. As a physician, I have the know-how to retain and return our state and our nation back to health. We are in crisis on every level. Our immigration is broken, our educational system is broken, and the woke agenda is taking over. As your next U.S. Senator, it is people that call in a sense of an emergency, do we have a doctor in the house?
10 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am that doctor that's going to lead the charge. I've been in 35 different countries facing disaster, and I continue to fight disaster. I am the one that you need to send into the fire, because I will return us back to our Judeo-Christian heritage, as we are one nation under God. Is there a physician in the house? Yes, there is. I am that U.S. Senate candidate. Dr. Sherry O'Donnell, 2024, DocSherry2024.com.
We hear a lot about President Trump tonight. I donated to the man in 2016. I donated again to him in 2020. I've supported him. I will come support him as the next President of the United States. Absolutely. To win this election, we must win the independent voters. And the way that we do that is we have to meet them where they're at. And you know what they want? They want somebody they can trust. They want somebody that's going to give them hope. And they want somebody that's got real solutions, that's lived the American dream, that's of and by and for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, I've lived my entire life to try to build a great family, a community. I've got 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and I love this state. I love the country. And it'll be the last thing I do to not save it for the next generation. That's what we're here to do. We're here to raise our family up,
10
children
seconds.
up in loving homes, and to pass on a better nation. And that's what Michael Hoover, Hoover for Senate, will do for you in 2024. Thank you so much.
You got anything to say? Before we dismiss, first of all, how about these stand-up candidates? Tom, will you come up, take a picture? We're going to get a picture with everyone behind. First of all, I just want a couple quick announcements. Number one is, if you vote for any candidate that is not up here, you have the kind of government you deserve. Because for one candidate simply did not want to address the fact that he voted as an elected official to impeach Trump. The other did not want to answer about the Patriot Act or where his wife was in Benghazi. That's the reason they didn't show. Secondly, we are going to have a Christmas party. We have congressional candidates here as well for the 3rd District. So talk to them. I saw Mr. Federina and I saw Mr. Markey. I don't know if anyone else is here, but make yourself, talk to them. They're here also. And how about a great round of applause for our panel here? What awesome people. James Gimmel, stand up, Jim. Chris Becker. And who else but your MyGov chair, Miss Christina Caramo. I will close with the following as we dismiss you. These candidates, some came a long way. Volunteer. You don't know, for the regulars, I always say, are you here for the tacos? Don't leave today without volunteering, committing to a candidate, and do something to get them elected. This is the Good Neighbor program. This is everything we talk about doing. Let's stop complaining. We can still eat the tacos, but let's get behind these candidates and support them publicly. Get active. With that said, we're going to dismiss the candidate. JD, you go first. We'll give them a little chance to get to their table or wherever. Oh, wait, yep, we'll do a group picture. Yes, sorry, JD.
That's all right, man.
So, with that said, before you go, let's do one picture. Thank you, Tom. And hold up those signs.